Hi, you guys. Welcome to Monday Night Live in Lexington. My name is Kathryn Kauffman, and I'm a psychic medium here in Lexington, Kentucky. Welcome to my every Monday night show.
Thank you all for being here. My name is Rachel Harrison. Adult programming coordinator. Kathryn Kauffman. All the way from Lexington, joining us here tonight.
Where we go over lots of paranormal topics, self-help topics, because what we're doing on Monday nights is exploring what and who we are in this journey called life. Glad to see all you guys joining in this evening. Shout outs to Janice. Big kiss to Melissa Begley and her special cat, Miss Cleo. Hey to Ron, Melissa Arthur Woosley, Brenda, and Tammy over here on Facebook. Hi to all you guys over here on Instagram. Thanks for joining me. For those of you that have tuned into my professional page, I did leave a link for you there to join the personal page here. If you want to get in on the live chat, the personal page is the only chat feed that I look at for the show. But if you want to just hang out there on the professional page and enjoy, just feel free to just do that. Hey to Jennifer, Lauren, Lydia. Hey, Lydia. Melissa, Magical Monday. Thank you. Absolutely. Shout out to Andrea and Amanda. Now, today has been horrible for allergies. So I have to apologize now. I do have my cough drops here and my cough medicine. So hopefully I will not cough my head off during the show. Hey to Tom Driver. And Sandra, I hope you're feeling okay, Sandra. Nicolay and Amanda, thanks for joining us this evening. Tonight's topic is going to be, we're revisiting black-eyed children or black-eyed kids. This was like a favorite topic of people, and I've come up with some new thoughts on this, and I want to see what you guys think about it. First of all, happy new moon to everybody. Tonight is the new moon, and I really could tell today there were a lot of panicked phone calls for me this afternoon. For those of you that would like to get readings, you really have to plan ahead to get in on my schedule. It stays booked ahead about a week. So just remember that if you're considering a reading, like last minute readings are very unheard of for me unless I have a cancellation or something. But what's new for February is couples readings. So I'm featuring couples readings for the month of February. If you and your honey want to get a reading, what that looks at is kind of each person's strengths and challenges for the relationship, and it does help quite a bit to know what you can capitalize on and what you need to work on. Hey to Janice, Jamie, Paige, Elisa, and Melissa said sending healing energy and prayers. Absolutely, 100%. Need them all. Hey to Dawn. Hey Melissa, send some of that healing energy to Sandra too. Hey Leslie, thanks for joining us. So let's revisit black-eyed children, shall we? I'm going to do a recap of the basics of black-eyed children, and then I'm going to throw a monkey wrench out there and see how you guys feel about it. So typically, the age range for black-eyed children typically is usually a range from 5 to 18 years of age, no more than that. Now, what's behind that? So usually, if you see a child you're not threatened or intimidated by that person. And so you're not going to have as high of a block or a guard up against that type of person if it's a child. I have found that a lot of demonic type negative presences or entities will classically present as a child at first to gain entry or to gain access to your energy field. And I feel like that's the same thing that's happening with these black-eyed children as far as why they're the age of 5 to 18 or present as that age group. Hey to Eva, Glenda, Tammy. Shout out to Ricky. Thanks for being here. Maddie, Chrissy. Hey, Chrissy. Lana, thanks for joining us. And hey to Creek Baby Jane over here on Instagram. So I think that that's what's behind the age range, is just so that you don't block their energy or you don't put a guard up against them. Now, occasionally, and this is not typical, but occasionally people have reported a really foul smell that comes along with this entity. But that's not the majority of the time. The majority of the time, people don't recount an odor with these type of entities. Now, another thing that happens with the black-eyed children is there's always something wrong with the hair. Either it's extremely strangely cut, like in a bowl haircut, or just completely straight. Most of the accounts had said that the hair is straight and long for girls and a bowl haircut for the male counterpart. Why is that? These, I feel, could be wigs. You know, wigs do look kind of strange. And I'm just going to leave that thought in your mind because we're working up to something here. A lot of accounts will say that the skin is extremely pale. Now, I'm going to throw this out here. I feel like this could be some kind of android type of entity. The pale skin would indicate there's no presence of blood underneath the skin. Our skin is pink. You're seeing the blood coming through, and also the light that is in the body radiates out and creates that pink looking. Have you ever seen in funeral homes? Well, in funeral homes in the old days, they used to have a blue and a pink or red light over the casket. And what that's supposed to do is to make the skin not pale and look more natural and more rosy. So these days they have those pink torch lights on either side of the casket, and that I think has both of those wavelengths of light and makes the skin look more natural. So these entities have extremely pale skin, and that does call your attention to them. Lana's in Charleston. Hey out to Charleston. Hey to Tom and Donna. If you guys have any accounts that you want to share or any questions, just drop them in the comments. If I miss them during the show, I do go back after the show and answer all of these. So yeah, okay, back to the descriptions. Black eyes, naturally, that's the first thing that people notice, is the absence of the white and just solid black orbs. So I have some thoughts on that, but we're going to get to that. But they're almost always black. Also, there's no pattern to the victimization or the victims that they choose. There's absolutely all walks of society that they choose as victimology. So there's nothing to connect who they're victimizing. Some people say hybrid breeds, that this is a breed between human and alien hybrid. So here's my monkey wrench for you guys. I say either hybrid, alien hybrid human versus government experiment. And I'm leaning towards government experiment, and I'll tell you why as we go through there. Janice wants to know, have I personally seen one? Nope, I sure haven't. Don't want to. I'm not sure how I would react if I did. I would probably try to probe it psychically to see if I could gain or glean any information psychically from it. And then based on that information would entail what type of reaction I would have, Janice. Another thing about these black-eyed children is when they're hurt, let's say if they try to attack someone, which is rare, they usually want you to let them in either the car or the house. And then after the accounts are, after they get in, they just sit there or stand there and stare and repeat the same phrases that, you know, their parents are coming to get them in just a minute. But some accounts say that they've, you know, been attacked by these black-eyed children. But the weird thing is that if the person they're attacking retaliates and say stabs them, there's absolutely no reaction from the black-eyed child to being harmed. No flinching, no guardedness, no reaction, which leads me back to that pale-skinned android thought that I'm having with this. Okay. The language that they use is really mesmerizing, hypnotic, but very rehearsed. So Melissa says, if they're soulless, would you be able to obtain a reaction? Probably not. If they're soulless and I'm trying to probe them for information, Melissa, it would probably be like probing a toy. I think it would just be hollow and dull, and there would be no energy field to connect with. Hey to Steve Jagoda, what are you cooking tonight, guy? So I'm thinking they're more android to me, especially with the no reaction when they become hurt, the pale skin, and also the rehearsed type of language. We've come a long way with robotics and stuff in 2019, but I did notice that a lot of shows that are showing us the new androids that are coming out can answer basic questions, but if you ask them something that's not in their recordings or not in their program comprehension, they will come up with repeating a phrase or answering the same question with the same response previously, which is sort of like how these black-eyed children do. The language is very rehearsed, but it's also very hypnotic, and sometimes it's telepathic. Like when the victim is thinking of something and the black-eyed child has a response to it that could only be given if there were a telepathic communication. So I'll give you my theory on that too. Most often they have outdated clothing. So my thought there is, if this is a government experiment, you know, there wouldn't be any creativity in putting clothes on these androids for testing. It would be just whatever old clothes you could find to put on the thing and send it out there is my thought. Hey to Jay Ross and Gina and Rhonda. Gina, the reports are from all over the world, pretty much. In some areas of the world, they're associating the black-eyed children with jinn. I'm not sure that these type of entities are synonymous with the jinn, but a lot of people are associating these entities with the jinn, and they're also associating these entities with the Slender Man. And so the thoughts about Slender Man are sort of black-eyed children, adult type things. Hey to Shayna. Hey, no shitcast over here on Instagram. So the outdated clothing, I think, is just lack of creativity on the government's behalf. They do appear classically from the times of 10 p.m. at night until 2 a.m. in the morning. Now, what's behind that? All right. It's what I feel is twofold with this. So one is they're isolating their victims. Not a lot of people are awake and stirring around from 10 to 2. So they're isolating their victims, and I also feel like there's a lack of witnesses at the particular time frame in the night. So it's a twofold type of benefit for these entities to go and obtain their victims from 10 p.m. to 2 p.m. So I'm going to go over some of the harm that has been reported by the victims of these black-eyed children. This is one account, and it's been reported for a very long time. I think I heard of this account for at least the last 10 years. So this lady and her husband let 2 of these black-eyed children into their home. They thought the kids were lost, and so they let them into the house to wait for their parents. And so here's the recount of the woman's. When I walked back into the living room, the kids were sitting on the couches, still as can be, but my husband was holding his head in his hands. I asked him what's wrong, and he just said he felt very dizzy, and all of a sudden that he was fine. I turned back to the children to give them their cocoa, but when they looked at me, I gasped. It took everything inside me not to drop the mugs and run away. When they looked at me, their eyes were completely black. They had no whites, just giant black pupils. When they saw that I was scared, they stood up and asked if they could use the bathroom. I tried to be as composed as I could and showed them down the hall. They went into the bathroom together. I hurried back to my husband to ask him if he had seen their eyes. He had seen them too, and he said it looked like his brother's badly bruised eyes after a car accident. We were in the middle of talking about whose children they could be when my husband's nose started to bleed. He'd never had nosebleeds as long as I'd known him. I just knew inside myself that this had something to do with the kids in the bathroom, and I started crying while I ran to get my husband some tissues. That's when the power went out. I heard my husband yell my name from the living room, and I started back through the hallway. I stopped dead in my tracks. The 2 children were standing at the end of the hallway. They weren't moving, and I had never been so scared in my whole life. They were standing there in the dark. After what felt like forever, the boys said, "Our parents are here." And they walked to the door and opened it and walked out, leaving it wide open. My husband jumped up to go close the door and almost fell over. We looked out the window and saw 2 men standing by a black car idling at the end of our driveway. The men looked like they were wearing black-colored suits, and they were very tall, at least 6 feet. When my husband waved at them, they just stared at us, got into the car, and drove off. Our power came back on within an hour later, and nothing in our lives has been the same since then. Over the next few months, 3 of our cats went missing. We can only assume that they ran away somewhere and never came back. And that was another thing that a lot of people reported, was that the animals instinctively and immediately reacted to the black-eyed children in fear and trying to protect themselves. So what she is saying is that her cats went missing. One of her cats was found in the living room floor in a hemorrhage. And the vet told us that it was some kind of bursting of the vessels. After my husband's nosebleeds became a regular occurrence, we went to see the doctor. He didn't know what to make of it other than dry nasal passages, but my husband was diagnosed with an aggressive skin cancer shortly thereafter. Now, here's where I'm going to throw the monkey wrench in here. Monkey wrench. I feel like this could be some kind of government experiment, in that it could be some type of experiment with hypnotic, vibrational, or sonic capability. And I think that that's why these things have to get so close to you, like in the car, or have you take them in the house, is because there has to be a close proximity. They want to come with you. They want to be next to you, but then they don't do anything. A lot of the accounts, the kids are just sitting there staring either at the floor or at the people that have let them in the home. So there, you know, a lot of the injuries that people recall or have accounts of, to me, are sort of similar to sonic weaponry. You know, the vascular disturbances, brain hemorrhages, nosebleeds, other vessels that burst feel like ultrasonic cavitation to me, kind of. Hey to Leslie, thanks for joining us, Steve Hawkins, and Christy Osborne Glass, and Patty and Carrie and Becca. Let me check for more questions here. Yeah, if you guys have any questions, just drop them in the comments for me. So let's look at some of the things that, you know, ultrasonic weapons can do to you. They definitely, ultrasonic weapons keep the cells up in the body, causing damage. That can definitely lead to cancer and also hemorrhagic problems. When an ultrasonic emitter touches you rather than the waves transmitted through the air, cavitation by contrast might occur in the fluid of the body tissues, cells, or in the ear and the brain. So it's, you know, this can kill you. But I feel like that it's experimentation. Since we already have sonic weapons, I feel like it's experimentation with some kind of hypnotic control. But it feels like to me they may be using sound waves to attain this. Let me know what you guys think. And here's a couple of facts that I wanted to bring up just for fun. You know how, you know, it seems like we watch shows on TV and movies like Star Trek and some of the old science fiction shows. And so what we're seeing is like technology that was introduced on these old shows years ago is now becoming a reality. Somehow we're developing all of this stuff. And here was a handy thing. Do you remember the movie Dune? One of the most powerful weapons in the movie Dune was the weirding module. And the weirding module was a sonic beam weapon. And this was 1984. Now, the interesting thing about that is one of the first published accounts of black-eyed kids was in 1998. But the year that sonic weaponry actually was introduced was 1996. I find all of this rather interesting. So let me know what you think. Do you think that these are hybrid human aliens, or do you feel like that this could be a government experiment I think that that's my feeling on it, because the last show that we did, I did not really dive into the details of why the pale skin, why the straight hair, why the rehearsed type of language, why the outdated clothing, why the hours of 10 to 2. But if you look at it through an experimentation lens, 10 to 2, you're isolating your victims, and you're also reducing any witness accounts during that time. The more that we're seeing robotics and androids and how far they've come with these things, and I'm seeing similar behaviors between the androids and this rehearsed speech of the black-eyed children. So I feel like it could be some kind of experimentation. What the goal is, I don't know. I think it could be some kind of mind control techniques that they're attempting to use. Certainly the health problems that people are having after they encounter these black-eyed children, I think are consequential to whatever technique that the government is using to try to use this mind control. And, you know, they've been at mind control for how long now? 1950s, 1960s. So this is nothing new, only I think a different technique that's being tried. Melissa says, what year was the last incident reported? Melissa, the first report that I know of was 1954. And the first published account that went viral was 1998. The most current report was actually last year in 2018. But what I'm seeing is that the most recent accounts don't classically fall in the descriptions of the early accounts of black-eyed children. The more recent incidents, Melissa, are including black-eyed children, adults, and the stories behind the Slender Man. And if you guys are interested in Slender Man, we can definitely do a show on that. Just let me know in the comments if you want a show about the Slender Man or not. So, but it seems like the newer accounts aren't classically following the original reports of the black-eyed children, because in the original reports of black-eyed children, they were not hostile. Like I said, they either stared at the floor or stared ahead with no facial expression. But more recent accounts are saying that they are attacking people, and that's where we got the description of the guy that tried to stab one and said there was no reaction, no flinching, no guarding to that action. So you have to ask yourself, are the newer accounts, are they actual reports, or are they just people who want to get in on, you know, reporting an encounter with a black-eyed child? So Gina says, yes, Slender Man. Awesome, we'll do that. Well, our time is up. So I hope you enjoyed revisiting Black-Eyed Children. I will see you next Monday night for another episode, and it just might be Slender Man. That would be a good follow-up to this. Let's do Slender Man next Monday night. You guys have a fabulous week. I'll see you Friday for Fun Friday. If you want a free card reading, go to my Facebook page. The link is up there. You can see that. Yep. Okay. We'll see you. Kisses from Kentucky. Bye, guys.